What would you do if you started working on a blueprint only to find it looking like this? What if I told you that you or one of your teammates wrote this a couple of weeks ago? Don't panic, this is your lucky day. We're going to bathe this technical depth and turn this spaghetti blueprint into this clean one. But before we jump right into it, let's clarify why cleaning your blueprints matters. You see, whether you're working alone or with other team members, most of your programming time is spent reading code. And it can dramatically improve the time it takes you to get to something you need to change or to get someone new to the project to quickly understand the code of it if it's written in a clean way. So, next time you think about doing something quick and dirty, consider thinking about the technical depth that you'll face in the future. I didn't wrote this myself. I got this spaghetti hell blueprint from Blueprint UE website, which you can get it yourself from the link in the description and follow along with me so you can practice cleaning some blueprints. To give you some context, this is a blueprint for an animal character class that can eat, hunt, drink, breed, and do more stuff. We'll break this cleaning process into 3 phases. Phase number 1 is making the blueprint understandable. Phase number 2 is simplifying the flow by removing duplications. And phase number 3 is making it readable by having different levels of abstractions. Before we start with any phase, let's ensure we have a backup, as things can break along the way. With that out of the way, let's start with phase number 1, making it understandable. You'll start by enabling 2 editor preferences that will make understanding the logic of that blueprint a little bit easier. One that quickly allows us to identify unrelated or unused nodes, which is hide unrelated nodes, and the other one allows us to understand the flow of the wires and follow them easily, which is draw midpoint arrows. Once those are enabled, let's start our cleaning process. We'll start by deleting disconnected nodes or commented out nodes. Since we have a backup, we shouldn't be afraid to lose anything. But since this process needs much focus and can take a long time, especially when we have many blueprints, we can do something better. We can create an editor utility tool that utilizes the existing remove unused nodes editor function and simply do that with a click. We can also do the same for variables, either by clicking on delete unused variables from the edit tab while inside the blueprint, or through integrating that functionality in our editor utility function. Next thing is to start aligning nodes to understand the logic easily. We can do that with a couple of shortcuts. Most popular is selecting the nodes we want to align and pressing Q, but there are others as well. A good note here is to stick to a node alignment style, whether that's vertically or horizontally, whatever the team works on, stick to that. My personal preference is to have pins vertically aligned. Next is to start making execution flow more readable by using reroute nodes and making sure no wires are overlapping with each other. After that, we can start eliminating wires that are along or everywhere by replacing the wires with getters. And final last step in this phase is to comment nodes to get them ready for the next phases. This is how our blueprint looks after stage number 1. Hopefully, we now understand the flow better and can start simplifying it in the next phase. In the second phase, we'll simplify our blueprint by removing duplications and grouping conditions. Here, we start looking at branches that can be grouped together by grouping their conditions, and testing often after every change to make sure we didn't break anything. Another 2 tools that can help us simplify logic are select nodes and switch statements. Here we got some setters that can use the select node instead of having multiple branches and wires. A little fast forward, and here's how our graph looks after stage number 2. Now let's get to the big impact and make our graph more readable. In the last phase, our focus is to keep our eye on one thing at a time while creating different levels of abstractions. In simpler words, we're going to use functions. I'll start by finding the comments we created in the first phase and turn them into functions, either by selecting them and choosing collapse to function or using the shortcut like Alt and F. I'll also make sure to use pure functions for functions that return a value only, and consider making them const and give them an appropriate access specifier. For latent events, I can either turn them into macros, move them to a different graph, or keep them as events. For this example, I'll turn them into macros since I don't need to call these events from outside this blueprint. Then for nodes that have a little complicated math, I can wrap them with a math expression and give it a descriptive name of what is being calculated. Finally, I'll start categorizing functions and variables into descriptive categories instead of having everything floating around. Later on, those categories can be a good sign on what can be broken into different components for more cohesion. And here's how our graph looks like in the end. We went from this to this. And next time we or any of our teammates decides to work on this blueprint, it won't be a nightmare anymore. So, that was it for today. Maybe let me know in the comments below of any tips or techniques you use when cleaning up blueprints. This was Amr, and thank you for making it to the end of this video.